will the Cardinals stumble? The Cardinals are next up on our list. And it's just fate that you get thrown that question first, Katie.
Oh,
Will the
wow.
Cardinals
Well,
stumble? I'm sure this answer will make you super popular in the clubhouse. I think you should go real negative on this one.
yeah, let's see. I already bailed on them the last week to do WBC stuff, so I'm going to
That's
show up
right.
like I own the place for opening day. No, I understand the NL Central is not the most competitive division, but I think that and I know this is going to get the eye rolls of about 29 other fan bases, so please bear with me. I think the Cardinals are coming in a little bit underrated. I do agree that the Brewers are probably a playoff team. I still don't think they're going to win the division, but the Cardinals, when you look at their lineup and you look at if everyone is healthy, their 2 through 6 hitters are Tyler O'Neill, Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado, Wilson Contreras, and either Lars Nootbaar or Jordan Walker, potentially.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a really meaty, heartier lineup. And I think the Cardinals are in a really good spot for the first time in a while in terms of finding continuous power. They've done a great job in developing talent. I mean, I'm sure we'll get to Jordan Walker and the case that he's making to make the opening day roster. But I think if the Cardinals do stumble at all, it's going to come from starting pitching. And I know that's not exactly a groundbreaking kind of idea here, but you look at their rotation and there's no denying the Cardinals are banking a lot on Jack Flaherty again. And that's something that you're comfortable doing in 2022 or 2020 and even 2021. And in 2021, he really lived up to that before that freak oblique injury. And he's just never been the same since. This is a walk year for Jack Flaherty. He's in his final year before he's eligible for free agency. He is the guy, if you're going to look at those 5 guys, and him, Adam Wainwright, Miles Michaelis, Jordan Montgomery, and Steven Matz, that could be that ace. However, there's a lot of maybe question marks after him as well. You want to see if Jordan Montgomery, the guy that they pledged $10 million towards an arbitration this year, can pick up. I mean, he really kind of saved their season in the second half. Miles Michaelis, one of the most consistent pitchers in the National League last year. There doesn't seem to be too much worry about him. He didn't miss a start last year despite coming off back-to-back injury years. Steven Matz looked good in 2022 when he was able to take the ball. It's just a matter of if he was able to take the ball and staying healthy. And then, there's Adam Wainwright back for a final year. Velocity hasn't looked great in his opening spring. And to me, that's kind of the main concern for the rotation there. So the Cardinals have a lot going for them in terms of depth. For the first time in a while, it seems like they have considerable favorable options if something does go wrong with their projected starters. But it's a long season, and they cannot afford to have guys like Goldschmidt, Arenado, Contreras, O'Neill, and Flaherty underperform.
Yeah, I mean, Katie, what am I going to say that the beat writer for the Cardinals didn't hit on, right? Basically, I think she's right. The lineup is stacked. There's no comparing of anyone else in the division. But if we look beyond this now, and she hit the nail on the head with the starting rotation, that to me, a rotation that's still relying heavily on a 41-year-old Adam Wainwright is a rotation that kind of has some weaknesses, right? You look at that rotation, who strikes fear into the hearts of the opponents? Let's say they get to the postseason and they play the Mets. Who's lining up with Verlander and Scherzer, right? I think, the best case scenario, the Cardinals go into the trade deadline and add a starter, because I agree. I think they're probably going to run away with this division as long as they stay healthy, because their lineup is just full of above average guys at pretty much every position, it seems like. I think they're going to score a lot of runs, but this rotation is just okay. The lineup's going to have to cover for, I think, a lot of the pitching woes, and I think they can do it. I think they're equipped to do it. I don't know if I think the Cardinals are underrated, Katie, in any facet. I don't think they're ever underrated. I hope that's possible. But I do think this is a very solid team. This is a good team that got even better in the offseason. And, that can't be said for everybody, certainly not everybody in this division.
Yeah, it's funny. Let's say you're not sure what's going on at second. They've got Nolan Gorman, if Brendan Donovan doesn't work out. And hey, look, Brendan Donovan is pulling jacks right now in spring too. So, and seems to have learned this pull fly ball approach from the Cardinals that they were, number 1 in baseball with last year. So, and then, if you think they need a little more length of the lineup, well, here Jordan Walker looks like maybe the top prospect in baseball. So yeah, the lineup is great. but it's there's that meme with the three dragons, and it's like, the Cardinals lineup, I would even say the Cardinals bullpen is the other nice mean looking dragon, and then it's like Cardinal starting rotation with the googly eyes. And they're doing their best to make the most out of a low strikeout rate, and they've had good ERAs versus bad strikeout rates in the past. But I just wonder the interaction between the new shift rules and the third worst projected strikeout rate in baseball, how those two things are going to interact, and what will happen, frankly, if Wainwright is hurt. He's Wainwright's not even 100%, right? I mean, that's what I'm reading sort of from the velo readings. Who is and I kind of got some pushback from you. I saw you in camp, and I didn't want to say it too loud, but I was like, I don't see anybody in the minors kind of stepping up, or anybody that's in the depth portion of the depth chart sort of stepping up. But I think you said that you had liked a couple of the guys. You said a couple of the younger guys might be able to step forward. Was it Thompson? Who did you like that was that might be able to step in if Wainwright's hurt and give them at least depth, if not sort of top end talent?
Yeah, there's a couple guys there, but it's really going to drive this point forward. I mean, I was talking to someone the other day who asked me to name the top two pitchers in the Cardinals rotation. And I started and I was like, well, and he cut me off right there and he goes, that's a problem.
Yeah,
You can't
yeah, you
name
didn't even
one
say
or
it.
two, that rotation is not good enough. And I was like, okay, point taken. And you're
And
right.
would you think that any of these young guys that might come up, they don't really necessarily seem to have that, like, they're not like top prospect in baseball. It's not like they have a Grayson Rodriguez that's like waiting and they can just like give them a little bit of time and then, oh, look, it's September and we have an ace, It's more like they have other guys that can be okay.
Exactly. So these guys, in terms of depth, aren't necessarily going to fill that 1 to 2 role either. Zach Thompson has had a really good spring, but he's going to be used as a reliever from the left side. There's guys like Jake Woodford, who the Cardinals didn't really use him much last year, even when they were desperate for starting pitching help, because they wanted him to work on the pitch shape of his slider. And he's come back with a brand new arsenal. Velo is up. He's looked really good in their 6th starter role. There is hope that they can find some consistency in Dakota Hudson. He's a year removed from Tommy John now, about to enter his 2nd season since that surgery. And their hope is he's able to find more consistency and avoid the 3-ball counts. And then there's Matthew Liberatore, a prospect of theirs they're still pretty high on. Same message, though, finding consistency. So if there's a falter in this rotation, the good news is the Cardinals have depth in their system, which they did not. I remember in 2021, they literally had a 2-man rotation, and it was very hard to watch. They were just trying to find anyone that could throw innings. But this year, it seems like if something does go down with those projected 5 starters, they have reliable support, but it is not one of those top of the rotation arms.
They don't. I wonder if they have the stomach also to trade somebody like Nolan Gorman for a top end talent, or if it's going to be more plug and play. Then they had the opportunity to trade someone like Nolan Gorman for someone maybe more of ace-like quality than Jordan Montgomery. Instead, they went with trading 1 year of Bader for 1 year of Montgomery, sort of kicking the can down the road, because it's not like they have a solution in place that's for next year. That's just like whatever we need to do to get through this year. But the good news is that that lineup is formidable. I like the bullpen. Helsley, Gallegos are great. Are you seeing anything from Hicks in terms of health this offseason? I think that could be a really good way to sort of shore up the middle of that bullpen.
Yeah, Jordan Hicks looks great. He told me he was working on really developing and landing that slider. He's a 2-pitch mix guy, and you can get away with that when you throw 102 miles per hour, as Hicks does, with a 90 mile per hour slider. So for Hicks, it's just less of us staying healthy at this point and more of, can he find that consistency in landing the slider? Cardinals have a bunch of sneaky good relief arms in their system. It's a common problem they're having is which left-handed relievers they're going to take. They threw 4 today in the first 4 innings of their spring training game against Houston, just in an attempt to, okay, here are 4 relievers, all with options. Against the, in spring training, you play your best players for the first 5 or 6 innings and they all leave. So they were like, let's put our 4 left-handed relievers that are all in competition for one spot and see what happened. And they threw 4 perfect innings. So a lot going on for those Cardinals.
Starters. So that's pretty good. And they all have options. I mean, having options at the back end of your bullpen is huge. You got to be able to, even with the new option rules, you got to be able to send them down, if they're overworked, to give them rest and come back up. So that is very nice for the Cardinals.